I'm still thinking about the bear. You probably don't remember, it's that show from June. Live, it's been 4 months, you say. Move on, you say. Think of other things, you say. Well, joke's on you, because I haven't stopped thinking about it since. You know in Willy Wonka when they show the delicious pot of laundry soup? That's been my brain revisiting the bear over and over and over again. I actually think that laundry soup has a Michelin star and Charlie's mom retains it. For those who are not caught up, fine. That's fine. The Bear is a comedy drama series about a renowned New York-based chef who returns home to Chicago to take care of his deceased brother's sandwich shop. Season 1 is about setting the scene, the characters, the conflicts and ambitions with the beef under new management, while also gaining some new employees. This is Sydney. She's very important. She also sort of comes from Carmi's world of culinary prestige, or at least appreciates it more than some of the other characters. This is what we call a culinary meet cute, all while Carmi dreams of turning the beef into a respectable, fine dining restaurant.
I have every intention of turning this into an efficient, respectable place of business run by adults.
And after getting the means for such a renovation to occur, season 2 is the highly anticipated, high-paced, high-stakes scramble to transform the beef into the destination restaurant, the Bear, under such a timeline that sprinkles in, you know, a little ruin, a little catastrophic failure should they deviate from schedule.
This is a terrible idea.
Before I continue, not to bring Willy Wonka into this again, Olivia, you gotta stop bringing up the WWCU into conversation, but the resemblance between Gene Wilder and Jeremy Allen White is, in a word, uncanny. And not to say that the internet hasn't already gotten its claws around this idea. These grandchildren look exactly like their celebrity grandparents. They're simply not related. I didn't even need to look that up. Also, I would assume many grandchildren end up looking like their grandparents. That's really not like a notable headline. That's what a family is. They're the people around you who look and speak and laugh and sing and fart like you. Crazy of them to use the Amazon arrow for this one. That arrow has big implications these days. You can't just be throwing it around willy-nilly. We have everything you need from A to Z. We have everything you need from Jeremy Allen White to Gene Wilder. So we probably don't have what you need if what you need is like a toothbrush. That's the only way to read the arrow. In season 2, we're also seeing the employees of the former sandwich shop turned restaurant needing to keep up with Carmi's prestige by going to school, going abroad, going out on the town, doing the research.
Class, what do you have to say for yourselves?
Respect the research.
And Carmi, having done all the prestigious culinary things, gets to bask in this opportunity of personal growth via his first romantic relationship with Claire. More on Claire later. But just off the bat, the only problem I'm anticipating with this is Carmi.
Carmi's Carmi.
His whole personality is intertwined with him being an excellent chef. It's really the only place that he derives any self-worth. On season 2, Carmi, Jeremy Allen White said, "You're spending so much time with Carmi outside of the kitchen, which feels like a different person. He's kind of like a baby." Which makes total sense. Based off Carmi's origin story on how he became a chef, as we learned in season 1, he went into cooking as a way to spite his brother from cutting him out of working at the beef in the first place. So in order to regain some sense of control, he decided, I'm going to become a better and the best chef, which he did. He achieved that at the expense of like all other things. He doesn't view himself as a full person, but just like a vessel for excellent work. And in a way, Carmi ends season 2 exactly where he started. It's like a season of anti-growth, or like just because you're this great thing, those tools don't necessarily translate to being a great colleague, manager, boyfriend, as he often blows off work to spend time with girlfriend Claire, and lacking focus when he is on the job, noticeably frustrating his coworkers. And even with Claire being a main focus this season, spoiler, it doesn't end well. I wasn't gonna make a video where the big reveal at the end is that things don't go as planned. That's not the point. Of course they don't. But why? Why, Carmi? What happened? What breadcrumbs in the earlier episodes of season 2 point to the inevitability of its conclusion? Were Claire and Carmi doomed from the start? I want to see what we can deduce by analyzing the living crap out of the Bear season 2. Okay, let's go.
I should really listen to myself.
Why? What are you doing?
Opening a restaurant.
You're doing the thing.
Trying to, yeah.
So season 1's been about the restaurant. We have an understanding of the restaurant. Season 2, things are getting more complicated. And like, what's up with Claire? Who is Claire? Where did she come from? What's her spawn point? How does she weave her way into this thing? There's been no mention of Claire up until she and Carmi reconnect in the grocery store at the end of episode 2, Pasta. It's not until episode 6, Fishes, that we learn she was Carmi's childhood crush. On her character, Jeremy Allen White said, "This really interesting thing happened with Claire, and how specific Claire is. She has an understanding of him kind of prior to his career. We're introducing a romantic interest. She's new to us, but at least for Carmi, he's not starting from scratch. I mean, knowing him, he wouldn't be chatting up some random girl in frozen foods anyway. And Claire's the one who approaches him. I imagine if it was the other way around, if Carmi saw Claire first, he would have, how you say, avoided her entirely, pretended it never happened, refused to acknowledge her existence. It was only gonna ever happen for Carmi if it was someone who had stock in the Brasato family lore. The other thing I like about the quote, when he's saying that Claire has an understanding of him prior to his career, is recognizing that Carmi's career isn't just some major event. It's also a huge component in the way he operates and presents himself now. She doesn't just know him as some high achiever who hit it big and materialized as the pinnacle of excellence. She knew him when he was the shy, quiet kid hiding underneath this facade, although not so well. So they can get right to chit-chatting. When Claire reveals that she knows the name of his restaurant, The Bear.
Of course I remember the name.
You didn't even tell anybody
You
what the name was.
100% told me.
How could you remember the name?
Because you're the bear, and I remember you.
It's like a huge wake-up call to Carmi that, yeah, this is someone who used to be really important to him. Unfortunately, he decided to block that all out in order to achieve success. When he's recalling her name as she approaches him, it's like he's recalling something from a past life or something that's been buried deep, deep down. She's in residency right now, working in emergency medicine. He asks why she decided to do that. Origin story alert. Take out your pens and pencils. It's an origin story, okay? She shares a story of when her friend broke her arm when they were kids and how she couldn't take her eyes off her friend's arm. Before the conclusion to the story, Carmi inserts his own worldview to make sense of the fact that Claire seemingly enjoys staring at broken bones.
Because you wanted to fix it?
I wanted to understand it.
With Claire and Carmi, two fundamentally different philosophies are standing face to face with each other. One that is interested in gaining knowledge and understanding the thing, and the other hinging your entire self-worth on how productive you are in a constant state of assuring others and yourself that you can fix the thing. So, not only is Claire's overall presence disarming to him, but Claire revealing her side of the broken bone story is already confronting Carmi's internal philosophy. We can see it on his face. He was never gonna come up with that answer. That's not how he views the world. In that situation, he wouldn't have been trying to understand broken bones. He would have been like, let's just put this back. We can just put it back. I would compare what's going on in Carmi's head to the paradox of excellence. I think this is something people mostly talk about in business. Carmi's just a business bro. You know this, right? Like, he wears an apron and a little hat because he's a little chef, but he's a big business bro. The paradox of excellence is when a high-achieving person lets anxiety compromise their growth because they're used to things coming so easy to them. They avoid any new tasks that may require them to use a different set of skills that they're not used to. They have successful images to preserve, so instead of embracing risk, they hunker down and lock themselves into routines. Interesting point. At the expense of personal growth. Alas, that does sort of really seem to sum up Carmi at his core. So Carmi is to Claire as experienced businessman is to fear of new things. Is that the analogy?
If I could provide more amusement or enjoyment for myself, it would be easier to provide for others.
But this is a new chapter. Maybe the Claire dream can be fulfilled in a smooth and cool way. He's cool. Carmi's cool now. He gave Claire his number, except for the fact that the number he gave her was wrong.
Did you really give me a fake number?
Carmi! Fortunately, Claire is nice and smart, and we love Claire.
She's a deeply good person.
So instead of having it out at Carmi or letting him totally off the hook, she reminds him that she's very embedded in his circle.
You know I know your entire family and all the facts, right?
She cannot be dropped. You were gonna try to ghost the unghostable woman. Good luck. Good luck, bro. In Carmi, I know your insecurities would make you so privy to do just that, but you can't. It's Claire Bear. Not to mention, the Claire philosophy of understanding the thing over fixing it makes itself very clear here, as she calls him not to react to what he's done, but to understand why he did it.
Walk me through giving me a fake number. Why?
And before we get to Carmi's answer, although I'm sure it will be great, let's look at where we find him earlier in the episode, pretty much right after they just reconnected in the grocery store.
I googled fun the other day. What provides amusement or enjoyment?
He's in group. I find it a bit coincidental. He's just seen Claire, and he's also been recently inspired to Google the word fun. Carmi's like, just so I'm clear, like, this is what's going on, right? This is the part of your life that's not your job. It's the fun part. And I just want to brush up on this because I'm getting a sense that this has something to do with fun. He proceeds to share that most things he associated with fun, amusement, enjoyment when he was younger tended to get messed up.
Because there's always another shoe.
I hope everyone is taking notes because this other shoe business will be showing up on the final exam. His personal research project on the origin of fun, I have no doubt, comes from how close he got to Claire throwing a wrench in his methodical, logical, technical, routined life. He has to give her a wrong number, effectively avoiding her. Otherwise, he'd be forced to confront his own obsession with control because he is self-aware enough to know that he does lack expertise in fun, which then creates a fear of fun because he has crafted this life which is orbiting and regimented around the one thing that he has mastered, being an excellent chef. Got it? Him Googling the word fun also reads to me like someone who feels like they have to be the expert in something before fully taking it on. Like, if he knows the technical definition of the word fun, that will remedy the years of him not having fun. And then to the group, him saying he needs to be able to provide amusement for himself before he can provide for others. I feel like it's a cop-out. He's internally justifying giving Claire a fake number because was he on a quest to provide amusement for himself? No, I wasn't getting that sense from him this season at all.
Currently opening a restaurant that's providing zero amusement or enjoyment? No, I'm kidding.
It seemed like he was planning on putting everything into the thing that he always puts everything into, which is food. All right, back to the moment at hand, the moment on the phone.
Why? Just walk me through giving me a fake number.
No, because I'm sorry.
We already got to unpack. We can't go a second of Carmi dialogue without unpacking. She says, "Can you walk me through giving me a fake number?" And he answers no. Like, it was a yes/no question. Like, that was really an option in what she was asking. Can you walk me through that? No, I can't. Sorry, maybe another time. Not this time. I mean, this is obviously embarrassing for him, so he's gonna try to play it off. He is apparently going to answer no instead of attempting to explain himself, because that would be getting to the soft cookie core of fearing fun and enjoyment. Claire can't know that he's not the professor of fun, which is what she must be assuming right now. No, he's the professor of anxiety, hijacking his body and preventing him from experiencing new things, because think of the risks. The paradox of excellence. Then Claire, exceeding expectations, asks,
"Is it okay that I have your number, or did you really not want me to have your number?"
She's giving him the chance to decide and also forcing him out of his comfort zone, because now he must admit that, yeah, this is something he wants, despite it rumbling around in his tummy and his tummy not liking it. Swip out the Pepto.
I want you to have my number.
Claire is the exciting new experience of this season, but she's also a huge obstacle to him, not just because she opposes his internal philosophy that is so deeply embedded in who he is now, but because she confronts his avoidant persona with truth and genuine curiosity. She's not reactive like many other people in Carmi's life. There's no name calling, no teasing, no fighting with Claire, so Carmi is forced to confront his own choices in the wake of her being really cool, really chill about things.
I didn't mean for that to happen.
And because she doesn't amplify conflict to an argument in the first place, there's no winning arguments with her either. She just wants to understand why Carmi is Carmi.
You know what? I'll give my address to Fact, and then he can give it to you. Does that sound good?
Do I notice your brother?
No, he sucks. At least he's hanging out with Claire. I mean, that seems moderately healthy, right?
Who's Claire?
We open pop. Let me set the scene. It's 1:30 in the morning. We're at the restaurant. Tina is helping Sydney work through an idea she has for a dish. Tina's becoming like a big player as she levels up this season. And as much as I love this scene and watching the two of them collaborate, immediately my brain was like, where's Carmi? Where's the little rat boy? It just feels like he should be here if this is what she's working on. Then immediately cut to when Carmi is here.
Hey, and 5. Tell me that's 5.
7.
7?
Embarrassing, bro.
He's timing himself as he mimes working through the kitchen stations. Despite there being plenty else to do, I mean, I didn't see this on the list, but he's fixated on this task. for some reason. And this coming right after the Tina-Sydney scene, it's really giving me the impression that it doesn't matter that Carmi is doing competitive imaginary kitchen play specifically, but more so that he's just invented importance around reaching this goal in order to avoid doing the other more difficult things. And not to mention, like, they've been doing this for a while and he's not changing anything about the way he's approaching it. He's just trying to be faster, be better. This just isn't giving me the vibe of like constructive problem solving. It's more so the amorphous avoidant activity of it all. Like, he could be doing this, he could be miming doing something else, but it doesn't matter so long as he's avoiding the tasks of actual consequence. You know, like making a menu for a food restaurant. You know when you like go to a restaurant and they give you a little piece of paper to show you the options they have of what they can make you? So that's called the menu, and that's really important. I get it. I mean, I think it's just that working to an ultimately arbitrary but specific goal is still more desirable to our little human brains than trying to conceive and execute an idea. Yes, of course, Carmi, I would totally prefer miming through something faster because the stuff you're playing with, like, it isn't actually there. Of course, of course. And we're also seeing how painful and uncomfortable and tiring it is to try to execute an idea through everything that Sydney's doing right now. The way the bear is portraying the conception of an idea against trying to actually execute it through Sydney this season is really like satisfying to watch. Maybe not satisfying, maybe just really relatable. It all reminds me of this Ira Glass quote. All of us who do creative work, we get into it because we have good taste. But there is this gap. For the first couple years you make stuff, it's just not that good. It's trying to be good. It has potential, but it's not. But your taste, the thing that got you into the game, is still killer. And your taste is why your work disappoints you. Sydney, Carmi, everybody go into this really hard because they have good ideas about what they're doing. And a lot of the struggle this season for everybody is just like what the execution actually looks like. Ideas are hard and Carmi's been avoidant lately, so Carmi's going to avoid the ideas.
These plates?
No, let me see. This plate.
Well, that's $55 a plate.
Okay, yeah, then we can use the shitty ones.
And when he and Sid are seemingly about to collaborate on an idea task finally,
Chaos menu.
he says he has to leave, go drop off some permit.
Let me get back to you on it.
Okay, bye.
Oh, sorry, I was gonna go do the explicit, like, instant reward sort of thing, as opposed to the throw it in a blender, give birth to it thing, if that's okay. At the same time, he's working on this balance between Claire and the restaurant, so he calls her to see if she can drive him to drop off this permit.
Hey.
So they've been hanging out, but it's more like one of them asking the other to do a task with them as an excuse for hanging out, sort of situation. It's safer this way. I've achieved excellence. New things put me at risk. What risks? Could be anything. Could come from anywhere. I need to be on the lookout at all times. So yeah, there's growing pains as Carmi's learning to become a real person, a real boy, something more than just a vessel for big business. I think so. All evidence points towards I think so. And real quick, the physical manifestations of anxiety that Jeremy Allen White brings to the surface with this character. Pristine. Sublime.
Hey.
That's what I call the Carmi anxiety 1-2 step. Also seen here in Fishes, not unlike the Jimmy speech, nervous energy turning random object in hand moment, or the handshake under the table heart to heart with Sydney moment. On the drive over to wherever the permit is being delivered, it's a bit awkward, which I think is a nice touch. Adds to the realness of a relationship starting. Things aren't totally comfortable yet, but that's not a reason not to do things, Carmi. This is fine. This is the way things are supposed to go. They get chit-chatting again, but it feels like stuff they would have talked about before this point.
How gnarly is residency?
Like you cannot imagine.
And the time commitment too. It's like 100 hours on, 2 hours off. You must really love it, you know, especially considering how gnarly and gross it is.
It's very small talky, and this isn't the first time they've hung out, so Claire's calling it.
In a restaurant, 100 hours on and 2 hours off. Is in a restaurant, gnarly and gross. You must really love it.
She clocks the fluffy language and throws it right back at him. But to be fair, these little conversations are still probably a huge deal to Carmi. It's not the quality of conversation that's the daunting thing, it's the fact that he's even here putting himself in this position at all. For Claire, she probably expects more progression to be happening at this point, saying later,
We've hung out like so much, but we've never actually talked.
Eventually, the conversation lands on Mikey.
Mikey was cool, like he would set something on fire.
Yeah.
He was so great, Carm. I'm sorry I haven't brought it up. I just didn't want to make you think about it.
No, I like thinking about it.
It's like they're learning to talk to each other. They're learning the rules and parameters of what this relationship is going to be, and in a sense, how deep this is going to go. Testing the waters to see what's okay to talk about. Great job, Carmi. Very productive conversation. You should probably get back to work.
Do you want to go to a party?
Oh, Okay, so we continue on. Claire asks Carmi to go because he owes her for driving him, still protecting themselves by keeping things transactional. It couldn't be that she wanted Carmi to go with her to this party. No. No.
How would you have delivered an envelope without me?
Couldn't have gotten here
You
without
couldn't have done it.
The reason why Claire wants to go is because her recently broken up with friend is there. And while she comforts Kelly, the friend, Carmi just sits there in all his gooey Carminess. The discomfort is like an aura around his body until prompted.
Am I stupid?
No. He's the one he sucks. He's the one who sucks.
Carmi knows the bare minimum of what to say to someone who's been broken up with, and Claire helps him along in this interaction.
Understood?
That's understood.
Is he the one that sucks?
He's the one who sucks.
Yeah, exactly.
Then gives him an excuse to leave.
Wanna go get her some water?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, please. Yeah, please. Yeah, please. Like Claire is the one doing Carmi the favor by dismissing him. At ease, chef. Then Kelly says,
He's so nice.
Kelly, he's so nice. I mean, we know Carmi, so we're rooting for him and we love him despite his flaws, but he's so nice in the way he just sat there giving us literally nothing, saying the most basic thing you could say to someone who's been broken up with, regurgitated what Claire told him to say, then saying yes, please, when prompted to leave the room.
Yeah, please.
A give us nothing king. Kelly's reaction to Carmi reminds me of everyone freaking out over Connell in Normal People, and Normal People in general creating more interest in Trinity College, and every Irish person on Twitter being like, do not come to our country if you're expecting to find your Connell Waldron. We promise you'll be disappointed. Despite my criticism of Carmi here, I'm rooting for him. I just want him to grow. I think it's good that he was here. He got to see that this is the way things go when a friend is broken up with. If Carmi were asked to be there for someone, he'd probably anticipate the shit out of it, make it about himself, and fail to show up at all. It's a classic Carmi recipe.
Follow the recipe.
It's important that he sees that. It's simply not that deep. You just gotta listen, say the right things. If you don't know what the script is, you can Google it. And play with a girl's hair for Pete's sake. Carmi, being so fix oriented, puts so much pressure on himself to perform in social situations, thereby avoiding them entirely. Historically speaking, like if we brought out the data,
When's the last time you went to a party?
I think never.
Okay.
later at the party, after he's seen all that happen, when he is mistaken for someone else,
Logan!
he doesn't correct them. He just plays the part that was handed to him. He doesn't obsess over the details getting fixed. And dare I say, it might have elicited some amusement, perhaps, I don't know, some enjoyment.
Yeah, it's classic Logan, man.
A temporary band-aid. I'm not saying he should pretend to be someone else at every social opportunity, but for now, have at it, kid.
The thing about Logan, he doesn't give a fuck.
Too bad Carmi does. At last, we're more comfortable with Claire. The aura of discomfort is starting to evaporate, and Claire senses that, so let's try this again.
Why'd you give me a fake number?
Oh, so I was fine to drop that. Like, we didn't have to bring that up again. I was fine to let it go, but your whole thing is like understanding things, right? Okay, well,
I like you so much. I feel like I missed a lot.
gonna get a big ol' on that one. It feels like a non-answer, but he really is saying something, enough of something that Claire could start putting the pieces together. And then she says,
Well, there was a lot of this.
she's starting to realize that the issue for him is lack of experience, or fear of lack of experience. He feels really behind socially. So she tries to make him more comfortable by catching him up. It was just a lot of this. You don't need to punish yourself for lacking experience, and quite frankly, any experience you do feel like you need to have is probably arbitrary. Okay, heard, chef? And guys, sparks are literally flying when we need to. We get it. They're in love. Sparks are flying. They're in love. They want to kiss. They're in love. Too bad fireworks are illegal in Illinois, so they ditch the party.
Busted for having fun.
The bear is so packed. Arrested for having fun, you say? You're just gonna throw that out there? Just gonna throw out another little detail just to remind us that fun can have negative connotations in Carmi's world.
Because there's always another shoe.
The culmination of Pop is Carmi inviting Claire to come see the restaurant. This is what I call the point of no return.
Everything is fine!
Hi.
Claire knows Richie's real name, again, just like seamlessly weaving in that she knows the lore.
Pardon my wire.
Hi, cousin.
Regardless of the argument at hand, Carmi dismisses everyone for the day, which frustrates Sydney.
Cousin, who's gonna watch the coppers?
I'm saying goodnight.
Gonna be on guard
For
duty.
someone who's taken on the mantra every second counts, he's really eager to push things off.
You're out tomorrow.
No, come on, please,
Yes.
cousin.
It's then through Trusty's sticky note board that we're reminded that Carmi and Sydney were supposed to meet today on the menu. Him spending time with Claire is starting to have a cascading effect on the renovation, because the more more time he spends with her, the less time he spends with Sydney, and knowing that that's the thing he should be doing, but he's not, he can get all worked up internally about it and say it with me now. Start to avoid it. Yeah, we know the lyrics to this song, but why couldn't Carmi have the personal growth and the professional at the same time? Why couldn't he have stayed late and figured things out with Sydney? I mean, she was just there till 1:30 in the morning while Claire was hanging out. She knows everybody here because he wanted a smoocheroo. Yeah, honestly, yeah, probably that.
My restaurant.
Once everybody's gone, she asks about the tape, which is the stations on the ground, and he pseudo brags to her that he can get a dish through the stations in 5 seconds.
That's really fast.
We're very fast.
But we know from the beginning of the episode that that's not true. They're not at the ideal 5 seconds. They're at 7 seconds, which isn't a huge difference, but it was to him earlier in the episode, and they're not there yet, so I'm calling it. He's trying to be so smooth. And looking at where Pop stands in season 2, I do think episode order matters. I'm a big believer in the halfway rule. Many great stories don't reveal what they're actually about or a big moment or turning point until halfway through. As an audience, you're led to believe one thing until some point, and then it's a totally different story from there. And for the bear, the thing we're talking about, I've discussed before, Fishes is like the halfway point for season 2, but after revisiting this idea, when you're looking at a 10 episode season, the true halfway point is after episode 5 and before episode 6 has even started. I did the math this time. What do you make of this development, Liv? Good, I'm glad you asked. Up to this point, we've seen things with Claire and Carmi going well, mostly. And at the end of Pop, we're ending on a high note. And then Tricky Little Fishes comes in. For those unaware, it's an hour-long bake in the Brasato family history, recounting a semi-traumatic Christmas party from about 5 years ago, and gives us more context on why Carmi is the way he is, why he has all these internal rumblings of anxiety going on. They really put us in the oven at 450 for an hour on that one.
You're nothing. You're nothing. You are nothing.
Fishes is the timeline detour of the second season following the romantic detour of Pop. The literal subheading for the Pop episode is The Renovation Gets Off Track, which I find really interesting because I feel like that's when Claire and Carmi's relationship gets on track. Some negative correlation between the restaurant and Claire is starting to develop. Looking at them next to each other, Pop is like, look, they're falling in love, things are so nice kind of episode, and Fishes is the reminder that things are not so easy. A relationship doesn't just grow linearly and blossom from here, especially one with Carmi Brasato. And in deciding to go off the deep end, Pop becomes an irreversible point for their relationship. Like, regardless of where it goes, it's gonna have a significant impact on them. We're gonna collect enough data that, yeah, this correlation, what's going on here, can be analyzed. And like I said before, episode order matters. Before Pop, we've already seen everybody doing what they need to do to catch up to Carmi, Sydney, Tina, Marcus. And with Carmi, this interesting thing is happening where it's becoming obvious that he has things he needs to work on that he's not, like communicating and staying on task and offering to do things and still insisting he can do it after forgetting like 4 times. I think this can all be summed up by something that happens in episode 7, Forks. So we've got those 2 detours, then getting back to the present timeline, we've got Sydney listening to Coach K, and he says,
When you are knocked back, figure out why, then change.
at the very beginning of this episode too. I don't know if this was intended, but this mentality feels like it stands in total opposition of what Carmi was doing with the stations at the beginning of Pop, doing the same thing over and over again and not changing.
Stop. Time. 7.
Carmi were 7 an hour ago.
Thank you.
Anyway, there's all these cracks at the halfway point. Something's gotta give. Let's see how the rest of the season goes.
Hey, I wanted to show you something.
Wait, what is this? Are we drawing? Are we doing drawings now?
Bolognese opens with Sydney walking around the restaurant, seeing the way things have come together. It's a quiet moment of her being present in the space because Sydney gives herself that time. Cut to Carmi in the apartment, in the kitchen by himself. Claire appears and he apologizes for something, and the show doesn't even tell us what. We can guess it's the same old Carmi, whatever. Just fill in the blank on this Carmi scenario.
This is really nice. So nice that
You're waiting for the other shoe.
Hey, the other shoe callback. Remember from before? She's very perceptive, figuring out her own answer to the fake number question because Carmi has trouble articulating.
You want to know a secret? Nobody's keeping track of shoes.
I know.
That's a great point. Claire often puts things in perspective for Carmi in a sort of jokey way. That's all well and good, but does this interaction, does this comment replace the years of therapy Carmi likely needs in order to rewire his brain for enjoyment? Probably not. At the restaurant, everyone is awaiting a do or die fire suppression test. Without getting into all the technicalities, it's the last thing preventing them from opening on time. So energy is up today. Energy is high. The Pepto placements are going crazy on this one. Carmi finally gets around to sharing some thoughts on the menu with Sydney, which is helpful and nice, but...
Look, Claire and I, we were talking about it. She helped me realize that maybe I was clinging on to some things.
This is good, right? Because this is what you wanted.
Yeah, it is. I didn't know that we were like running our menu by Claire.
We're not running the menu by Claire. She's not my girlfriend.
So she's not even your girlfriend, and
right.
We're like arranging this menu.
She's not
with
arranging anything.
What's going on is Claire has been helping Carmi work things out in his brain, but he can't separate the personal from the work riffraff, and as a result, she inadvertently gets to make creative decisions for the restaurant. If Carmi is going to someone else first, what was the purpose of going into this as a partner with Sydney? She's supposed to be the collaborator, and he's not really making himself available. Things are said, they get off track for a moment, they end up apologizing, they decide to just drop it for now, but there is a sort of resolution in the following episode, Omelette, when they have a heart-to-heart.
You're not alone, Sid.
Neither are you.
I know this is an itty-bitty, teeny-tiny little moment, so my interpreting it may be overdoing it, but this is The Bearer. This is a show where every moment is given meaning. No details are wasted. Every second counts. The underside of a tomato can have implications for Pete's sake. While Carmi's mom is ragging on him for being too fancy now for them since he decided to go to culinary school, he rips open a trash bag, visually undermining her argument against him the second the words leave her mouth. Oh, I'm too fancy for you now? How about this? Garbage. So Sydney says neither are you. So what is she really saying? Let's be clear. Carmi is not alone. And by saying you're not alone to him, she's vocalizing her own role as creative partner in this. He can share his ideas with her and they don't have to be perfect. He doesn't have to make some beautiful product before being willing to share. Sydney can help him work through his bad ideas too. The riffraff. Okay, back to Bolognese.
I just think you need to decide.
What? Between Claire and the restaurant?
If this person is your girlfriend or your friend that's a girl.
Oh gosh, thank God. We're a bit more evolved in our writing of women in 2023. You need to choose me or her.
It's me or them.
Don't make me choose.
But it's great that Sydney brings this up because it's clear that Carmi has not given it a thought.
I'm being shitty.
I mean, not great.
Listen, I don't want to be shitty.
Okay, so don't be.
Oh, cool. So, like, I just won't be.
Carmi's like, tell me how. Tell me how to do it. I intellectualize every component of my life, please. Give me the readings. Give me the texts on how not to be shitty.
Okay,
Like, that'll work.
all right, relax.
Yeah.
As everybody else goes about their day working on things relating to the restaurant, Carmi cannot shake this conundrum, so he revisits it later.
Is Claire my girlfriend?
I think so. Do you want her to be your girlfriend?
What is a girlfriend?
He's out here about to Google the definition of the word girlfriend. I'm actually curious. Regular female companion with whom a person has a romantic or sexual relationship. Example, his girlfriend is Australian. A woman's female friend. Similar. Partner, lover, significant other, girl, woman, loved one, love, belonging, darling, dearest, sweetheart. Live-in lover. Cohabitee, common law wife.
What is a girlfriend?
My common law wife. He's not actually doing any of that. It's more so just his brain protecting him from having genuine natural feelings in favor of keeping things technical. It's the intellectualization of romance for me. I don't know if I can accept anyone into this position before I know what I'm getting into. What is girlfriend? I gotta get to the bottom of this. Well, we'll have to put a pin in this while the fire suppression guy is here.
Congrats, Natalie Brazato, you have a restaurant.
Boom, they passed the test. Victory! We can now open our very own restaurant. Episode wraps up with Carmi now ready to commit to Claire.
I gotta call my girlfriend.
He makes her dinner, which is a sweet little callback to episode 5 Pop.
No one's ever made me dinner before.
He wasn't sitting there totally useless. That's all great, but I can't help but feel like things only end positively for Claire and Carmi here because they passed fire suppression. Now that Carmi's brain feels safe and secure in this one area of his life that he's deemed the most important, he can feel okay and let himself feel joy in the other. Like, only then is he not gonna get in his own way of things going good. His reputation of excellence is not at risk.
Tonight is dress rehearsal. It is designed to find the cracks. Do not get crazy easy. Do not get overwhelmed.
We're rolling right along. Carmi is outside the restaurant having a panic attack, thinking about being intimate with Claire. You know, that post-passing fire suppression intimacy type beat. The lifelong crush is becoming a really real thing. And what gets him out of the panic is thinking about Sydney. And I've seen people online interpreting this moment as him having romantic feelings for Sydney, but I disagree. To me, that's mistaking romance for just the people you are more comfortable with, the people you feel secure with. Also, Sydney is someone who he deeply associates with work, and say it with me now, that's the thing he feels he has the most control over. That's the stance I'm taking. Jeremy Allen White's also in my corner, so you guys just better leave them alone. Let them rest.
Let's rest.
Anywho, we are just moments away from the Bears soft launch via Friends and Family Night. Everything that should be taken care of should be taken care of. It's game time, people. Time to focus up, focus up. Big game. Does anyone want to pull Carmi away and deliver a monologue at this critical time? Oh, Uncle Jimmy? Come on. Yeah, we knew you would. You picked the perfect time. To be fair, Jimmy's put a lot of capital into this endeavor.
I am $450K in here.
Hi, 50K.
Oh.
He likes to remind us often of the financial stakes. But pulling Carmi aside right before the big game, what could that mean?
Cubbies up 3-1, top of the 8th, game 6, National League Championship. Error after error after error. Cubs fall apart at the seams, Cubs lose. You don't want to be unfocused. And unforced errors, trust me, they're contagious.
Yeah, fair. That does sort of speak to what's been going on here. And yeah, it's great that he brings it up, but it feels like too little too late by this point to have a real impact on Carmi. And I know this because right after this conversation, Carmi finally goes to call the fridge guy. Remember him from these several points earlier?
Oh, Neil!
Carmi said he was gonna handle it.
Okay, well, he obviously didn't.
Yo, what's up? We good?
Hi, not really. Fridge is still broken as Oh, did you get a hold of Tony yet?
No, not yet. Who is Tony again?
The fridge guy.
I'm sorry. I just missed him.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
But he gets distracted by Claire, but we can't just blame Claire here because then he gets double distracted by Marcus. It's a double-double. It's a double distraction. So now there's two people, Claire and Mr. Fridge, on the other side of Carmi's shenanigans. I do think Uncle Jimmy tried to deliver this monologue sooner.
May I share with you a story of complete and utter failure? I really would like to tell you a story of complete and utter failure. Can I tell you a story about complete and utter failure?
But it just got swept up in the chaos of the renovation. Between Sydney emphasizing her need for his focus,
Just need your focus like you need mine.
and Jimmy's game time speech, it's clear that the people around Carmi are sensing he's a bit of a walking unforced error. Nobody's out here actively working against him or wanting him to fail.
I actually want this place to work for you, buddy. I really do. I don't want to take it from you. I don't want to knock it down.
But it's the same result we're seeing in a lot of these situations play out over and over again.
Man, it's the same
I know.
thing.
I
you've
know.
been saying.
I know.
So the common denominator has to be Carmi. Also, we don't know how often Carmi has gone to therapy this season. There's the earlier moment in episode 3. And say, like, this was a creative choice only to see him that one time. That still gives the overall impression that the group therapy is simply not a priority for him. He's perhaps made the mistake that things are better than they used to be, so I don't have to go to that thing as much anymore. But that's simply not the case. Then as a result, his friends and family sort of have to be acting therapists for him. But since he's not in the appropriate setting, he either lacks focus, being unable to really listen, or the messaging just doesn't get through at all. Alright, let's check out the season finale.
And, T, you're good on T-bone? Yes, chef. Daniela, how's pasta? Good, chef. Thank you.
Where's Carmi?
Friends and Family Night is upon us. Opening shot of the episode, Sydney is driving, as she should, as she should. When I was looking back at my notes, I was like, why do I care that she's in the car? But no, not like driving like vroom vroom driving, but like... Orders are coming.
Special order! Special order! Special order!
But pretty soon she's feeling overwhelmed, so she asks Carmi if he can take the lead, and he simply says no. Keep going.
Want to switch it? No?
No.
Which works in his prestige building mindset. He's the one who's supposed to bring everybody else up to his level, but not if you consider his actual mindset this season has been in and out of focus the entire time. And though Sydney lacks experience, she's been checked in. Show some respect. I'm sure there won't be any ramifications to that anyway. A few things add up to a larger issue, which is that they're behind on all tables.
All tables.
Not to mention, Carmi is trying to work in the kitchen, but feeling the pressure of Claire's presence out there amongst the friends and the family.
Claire's on 31. Okay. Go say hi.
Yeah, eventually.
And he can't go out there, they're down an employee.
Is it now the best time to do that? Great, cool.
Oh. He finds the time. He finds a little sliver of time somewhere in there. See, Carmi, it's not so bad. It's not so hard having these two components of life coexisting. Oh, Who is that?
When all of a sudden, I hear this agitating, grating voice.
Remember when Carmy has previously reminisced about his stint in New York as America's Next Top Chef? This man has been the source of much stress and anguish for our friend. And I'm not in the culinary world, but assuming this is still a New York-based man, how out of pocket was it for him to show up on the Bears Friends and Family Night? Because based on Carmy's side of the story,
You're terrible at this. You're no good at it.
I was not getting the vibe that this was someone he considered a close friend or a family member. He stirs up the anxiety soup in Carmy's tummy, so Carmy returns to the kitchen very on edge, sees that all the dishes have gone cold, and freaks out in that little way only Carmy knows how.
Are these for the guy? Is the guy what window? Please, just refire. Just refire.
You were out there talking about...
Refire.
Watch it. Dude.
You're yelling at the person who told you very early on that she was overwhelmed and you dismissed her. Power through it, champ. She tells him to calm down and he does. Very nice of him. Then boom. Carmy gets locked in the fridge. Carmy gets locked in the fridge. What? Oh no. Why didn't the bear warn us? Who could have possibly predicted this to happen? Ah, yes, we're not living in a fantasy. This is a direct consequence of not calling the fridge guy every day of every week for 12 consecutive weeks. Regardless of if one has a girlfriend or friend who is girl, there are consequences to one's own actions. Though usually not this poetic. Carmy being trapped in the thing that he's ignored all season long. Bit of a metaphor for his brain space as well, I imagine. Sorry, I don't mean to be so harsh, but this is incredibly satisfying. Very, very satisfying. I'm very satisfied by this happening. I cannot come to the phone right now. I am extremely satisfied by the way things have panned out this season. This moment is a callback to all those little moments that have been the fillers in between the action. And up until this point, we were led to believe, oh, like that's just the mise en scène of what's going on. But no, those little things do all have implications here. And then we get this. A callback for something that just turned out bad is a consequence. Now the grand presence of Chef Carmy has been reduced to a voice inside the fridge, inaccessible, and the show must go on, so Richie is going to drive. Richie has had a very significant arc this season. We start out with a man who is questioning his purpose as the Bears renovation gets underway.
Yo, you ever think about purpose?
Resists Carmy wanting him to work in a fine dining restaurant in order to gain experience, ultimately excels in that position, and then returns to the Bear rebranded and now fully accepting of the Carmy that walked into his dead best friend's sandwich shop in season 1.
I get it.
Unfortunately, Carmy cannot see all this inside the fridge. In his metaphysical mind palace, he regresses to his reactive self when the thing he wants more than anything else in the world is to regain a sense of control. Not just that, but he's imagining that everyone else has simultaneously regressed to earlier versions of themselves too. The earlier draft, the earlier iteration of these characters. But like I've previously said, these people have put in the time and focus this season. So their individual performances tonight are gonna reflect that.
Marcus, we're gonna 86 them a starter. Manuel doesn't do cherry, chef. Thank you.
When it becomes clear that they're doing this without him, Carmy's attention redirects to various little details in the fridge that sort of illuminate his absence. And when they're out of the woods, he gets an audience to vocalize his findings.
You okay?
T, I think I did this to myself. When did we start ordering Heinz mustard instead of French's? There's shelves on the wrong side, and we're tearing tape like assholes.
You know, if he was around more, things might have been tidier. He could have fixed all the pieces of tape and arranged all the Sharpies. And he does take responsibility for the fridge situation.
I failed you guys.
They cannot agree on what this guy's name is.
Tony's the fridge guy.
Fridge guy's name is Terry.
You hear from Tom?
Who's Tom? Who's Tom?
Tom's the fridge guy. Told him to call Tim.
My only problem with him coming to this specific conclusion, out of all the conclusions he could have come to, is that a larger issue is hinging on all these smaller details, and also ignores the moment they really got off track tonight. They didn't get behind on all tables for not tearing tape properly or having the wrong type of ketchup. No, it was the moment that Carmy rejected Sydney's idea, that she was overwhelmed and wanted him to drive.
No.
Because his excellence blinds him from the fact that just because he has more experience doesn't mean he's more suited to make that call. The issue is not fennel labeling or even failing to call fridge men. It's his ability to effectively communicate and collaborate with someone who is now his peer. In my expanded version of the paradox of excellence, excellence doesn't just hinder our growth in new, different areas, it also blinds us to the reality of the situation. That you might not be the person to make this decision just because you're at the top of the food chain. In this case, on the basis of hierarchical kitchen structure, despite Carmy and Sydney going into this as supposed equals. So that's that. Tina needs to leave the fridge for a second, and Claire ends up on the other side of the door when Fac finally reveals what Carmi's been up to.
Is this a good time to go back and see him?
Probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
Jabba got his ass.
Yeah, he's in there solo.
Han Solo is getting frozen. He's locked.
Little Pip is cooked.
He's in the walk-in, but the door handle came off.
And he's not done speaking Revelations, so she gets a front row seat to such hits as...
I was thinking I was gonna be in a relationship. I'm a psycho. That's why I'm good at what I do, and I could concentrate, and I had a routine.
We're back to our standard paradox of excellence fare. Carmi, I think you got your point across, so you don't really need to say anything else.
It's just a complete waste of fucking time.
I'm really sorry you feel that way, Carm.
Claire?
And remember, Claire is not a reactive person, so she acts accordingly by just walking away, not saying another word, denying Carmi and the chance for him to fix it again. Carmi's the fix-it guy, and him trying to remedy that situation, even when his actions show otherwise, only really works if he has an ear there willing to listen, and Claire's not willing. So she gets out of Dodge. She gets out of town. He's hurt her by blaming his failure tonight on his life flourishing elsewhere, the area of his life that she is irrevocably a part of. He's blaming his failure tonight on her.
I don't need to provide amusement or enjoyment.
The amusement, enjoyment thing being brought up again in this way means the question for Carmi this season on his relationship was not, will he and Claire work out, but will Carmi entertain relationships at all? Which is a bit darker, a bit higher stakes if you think about it. He was treating his relationship with Claire like a trial run. The question is, does he need to provide amusement? And the answer he's come to is no. No, I do not. I will not do it. Locked in the fridge, Claire gone, it's becoming apparent that Carmi is the other shoe he's been fearing all along. The other shoe was never some external factor that was going to disrupt his life and his work. No, it was going to be the familial trait of Berzato self-destruction coming to the surface. Richie, seeing a distressed Claire leave, confronts Carmi.
What did you just say to that girl?
And then offhandedly calls him Donna.
Oh yeah, I'll get you the out of there, Donna. Yo, cousin, I don't understand why you can't just let something good happen for once in your life.
When he clarifies the Donna comment, he's not just saying Carmi is his mother's son generally, and we got a glimpse of what that character was like in season 2, episode 6, Fishes, but also that Donna is the mother of chaos, the mother of not being able to appreciate a good thing.
Here we go. Hey, tough Carmi.
Here we go as in, yeah, I've poked this bear before, let's get the Berzato reaction over and done with. Carmi proceeds to call him a leech and says he's obsessed with his family, but that's not the actual issue here. The issue is that Richie knows so much about Carmi and his family that he recognizes this behavior and can call him out on it.
No, I'm not kidding you right now. Someone's got to tell you this.
So Carmi has to protect himself from self-reflection by lashing out, because then he'd have to confront the things about himself he's avoided all season. Fearing fun, fearing joy, being solely motivated by excellence, obsessing over control. Can you imagine the damage that would do if he had to sit and think for a moment about what he did in like a real way? The fridge plot was all a ruse just to put Carmi in timeout. So instead of considering what Richie has to say, he goes into full attack mode, full bear mode. Their argument crescendos with a few repeated phrases. Carmi's, I should have cut you out and you need me, and Richie's, I love you. Richie leaves. Carmi finally listens to the voicemail that Claire sent him earlier, and it's devastating.
I really love you.
Not the voicemail, just like the context of seeing where you get it. Meanwhile, Sydney is expelling what I hope are the last anxiety demons from her body because she ultimately had a good night. And then cherry on top, her dad gives her the validation that she's always been pining for.
It's the thing.
REM's Half a World plays as we hear the lyric, "That's all I needed," while we see Sydney taking in these comments. Y'all aren't ready for superhuman validated Sydney in season 3. So that's what you missed on The Bear season 2. What did it all mean? What did we learn? What's it all about? On the rewatch, I feel like you have more capacity to make connections between things and kind of understand how everything comes together. Obviously, since your brain has already done all the post-processing from watching the first time around. But I was really struck by this time how much the arc of season 2 for Carmi feels like a tragedy. You have this man who's clearly very talented but ignores the warning signs of what needs his attention and focus because of some fatal flaw. Not fatal, but like inherent to who he is, resulting in him being benched on the most important night of his career. His career also being the thing he values the most about himself. There's more and more levels and pits of despair for Carmi the more you think about it. When Carmi's personal world expands this season, he does not grow with it. There's a lot of resistance. Some internal Berzato thing is preventing him from taking on what many would consider basic components of life. You know, like love, joy, friendship. Ever heard of them? Because to the Berzatos, love, joy, and friendship are risky endeavors riddled with their own tendencies to self-destruct at any given moment.
I'm a psycho.
Not to pull a Carmi, but I did Google the word psycho. An unstable and aggressive person. Because if he's the aggressive one, if he's the bear, he's safe from being damaged by others by just putting up this facade he's crafted.
Tough Carmi.
And though I say this has the trajectory of a tragedy in that Carmi fails on the big night, the night overall was not a failure. In fact, we know from the other characters' perspectives that it was actually very successful.
So how was it?
Oh my god, it was incredible.
So fire.
So good.
Because this isn't a tragedy. It could have been if Carmi had no redeemable qualities, but to give him some credit, he does inspire others. Being around someone like him who had the courage to achieve excellence
Just keep going.
instinctively motivates the people around him to be better at what they do. Some of this is more explicit, like his idea to send Marcus off to pastry school in Denmark during the Bears renovation, but there's also some happy accidents. In the SUNDAE episode, Sydney goes out into Chicago and gets inspiration from what started as Carmi's idea.
I think that we need to go out. We need to try some stuff, like a reset.
He was supposed to go with her, but got distracted by Claire, so he sort of flopped on the execution, but the idea was still his. And this forces Sydney to go out into the culinary world and actually experience it, as opposed to getting stuck in the internet space of, I feel like I'm already failing at the thing I'm working towards. It allows her to develop a more substantial relationship with the restaurants of Chicago, not one that's based in fear of the worst case scenario, but rather something that is about creativity and appreciation of what currently exists. Another more explicit example, it was Carmi's idea to send Richie off in forks to work at a fine dining restaurant, even if the monotony of cleaning forks every day brought Richie to the edge. It wasn't really about the forks, it was more about Carmi sending Richie somewhere where he ultimately felt valuable and needed, only to be sent back to the bear.
Yo, I know you sent me there to get rid of me. I was annoying you, and you wanted me out of your hair.
What?
The ephemeral nature of the position really got to Richie. It's never actually about the forks, but he comes out the other side understanding why.
I get it.
So then, positive consequence, when Carmi fails to call Mr. Fridge, Richie is able to bring the team back on track. Because yes, Carmi is unhinged, but his greatness is contagious and it made Richie better. Working at the other restaurant made him not just capable, but also invaluable in this circumstance. And Richie, perhaps the one who understands Carmi's persona the most, ends his argument with him by saying, I love you over and over again. And if Carmi wasn't acting so bearish, he might have noticed that love, joy, and friendship are actually not scary things. They're actually quite dependable and substantial in the right people, the right team.
I got you, Chef.
Even with his haphazard execution this season, an amazing team has assembled itself around Carmi to protect him, cover him, shield him if and when the bear ever comes through. So if there is any time to fail, any time to fall apart, it really is now. Now is the time to do that, and so he does.